Peace at your hand. Part 1. Chapter 8, The Duality of Man. Having gone through my little experiment in my closet in Chapter 2 of this book, I became more curious to find out the mystery of the duality of man. Maybe I could find more truths in creation which will help us to understand the love of God for man. Introduction to the Duality of Man. From the simple experiment of life reflection, we observed the following. 1. That man has a dual personality, his spirit and his borrowed garment called his body. 2. That the body of man is mortal and made of clay, and is the means through which the spirit manifests himself in the mortal world. 3. That the spirit of man is eternal and is the prime mover of man. 4. That both the body of man and his spirit, though of different attributes, work together to produce all action. 5. That both the body and the spirit are united by the absolute law of obedience. The duality of man. In consideration of the above, opposing attributes in man, it is no wonder to see that man and his body are in continuous war. For clarity, let us call the spirit in man the man, and his borrowed garment where he lives, the body. The greatest obstacle to man's progress in this world is the war between him and his borrowed garment the body. The man is a spirit and has his pure characteristics. He lives in a house, which is corrupt and mortal. Both the body and spirit must be in harmony to perform any task. The spirit enjoys music, word and peace while the body enjoys good food, fine clothes, gold, silver, fine apparels and other carnal lusts. The body habitually entices man with lusts and pleasures while the spirit in man opposes such, and so no agreement is reached and nothing is done. The body takes easy path, which is generally dangerous, while the man takes the harder path, which is generally difficult but safe and rewarding. In short, man is in continuous war with his housing. Does the man recognize this problem? His war within himself. How can this be? How can man distinguish oneself from the other and not fight against himself? These are some of the questions and answers we shall address here. In our journey to earth, we made choices out of our own free will to come down here on earth to learn to be obedient to the laws of our Father. For this, we were given light to guide us and agency to choose. When we joined the human body, see the law of human reproduction, and arrived here, we still had power and right to make a choice to continue to accept our mission and behold the lamp or reject our mission and lose the lamp. This is because the law of agency is always in force. If we continue to keep this light, it will help us to differentiate evil from good and vice versa. This knowledge of good and evil will enlighten us on the implication of our choice. If we still choose to do good, we must continually apply the laws necessary in order to navigate through the darkness. This means that we shall have the true knowledge of right and wrong. The laws controlling good deeds are righteous desire, seeking, sacrifice and work. There are no laws in evil doings. One needs no effort to do evil, it is there for one to choose, one is enticed to take it. It is available everywhere any time and made easy to take. We shall now delve into the task of man and his internal conflict with himself. To this end we shall have a few quotations, axioms and definitions on which we shall build our discussions. A Chinese general Sun Tzu said, "If you know yourself and know your enemy, you need not fear the repeat of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not your enemy, for every victory gained you will suffer defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle." An unknown author said, "What though I conquer my enemies? And lay up store and pelf? I am a conqueror poor indeed. Till I subdue myself." Axiom: if man will conquer himself as he has conquered the moon, the stars, and the seas, then man will find peace and harmony on earth, and man will avoid conflicts, wars and crimes and save the falling world. Definition 1. Self-conquer is a state, where the body is subjugated to the man's will power for the purpose of attaining man's highest good. We shall come back to these wise sayings. We first identify man from man, that is to say that the duality of man must be examined. Man is the prime mover of the body by and through which the body is quickened. He is the captain and the guardian of the human body. He existed before the body was and will ever exist. By man's choice, the body manifests actions. Man has the power to control the lusts and passions of the body if he chooses. The body is his agent and the means through which he manifests himself in the transit camp called world. If he yields to the promptings of the body, he stands condemned and suffers the consequence with the body. The body to man is an unavoidable tool. It helps man to climb up to his eternal exaltation if he does not yield to the body's temptations. If he does yield to the body's temptations, it will lead him to his eternal condemnation. The body of man is mortal, carnal and subject to death and decay. The man is spirit and immortal. Now man has identified himself and his enemy. The next step is that man should know himself and his enemy. The identification of an object does not necessarily mean the knowledge of the object. To know an object, it is necessary to know the attributes of the object. Our next task now is to enumerate the attributes of man and his body. The attributes of man and his body. These are the attributes of man, which God made in his own image. Love, charity, obedience, humility, tolerance, dignity, respect, honesty, patience, selfless, good temperament, meekness, kindness, loyalty, purity. These are the attributes of the body of man after the fall of man called the natural man. Greed, envy, disobedience, envy, unreliability, jealousy, pride, covetousness, arrogance, anger, hatred, lust, avariciousness, impurity, dishonesty, selfishness, haughtiness. The attributes of man give rise to peace, harmony, progress and happiness. The attributes of the body of man give rise to war, conflict, insecurity and sorrow. Having gone through the attributes of both man and his body, one can easily see the source of their disagreement. Question: if man wins this war between him and his body, what does the human race gain or lose? Answer: if man wins this war between him and his body, we human beings will reap the fruit of man's choice, which is peace, happiness, joy and harmony. Question: if the body wins this war between him and man, what do human beings gain or lose? Answer: if the body wins the war between him and the man, we human race will reap the fruit of the body, namely, war, conflicts, crimes, injustice, misery and woe. From these attributes, we know that the disparity between man and his body is as wide as hell is from heaven, hence the endless war. However, we know that man has power to win if he chooses wisely. He has the laws and the key to act. Man operates by laws, and laws have boundaries and consequences. Laws are orderly, operate on higher planes of life, and are full of love, knowledge and justice. On the contrary, natural man has no laws. He operates in the lower base of the life. He acts on impulses, passions, desires and lusts. Lawlessness is the order of the day. Injustice and confusion reign supreme. Ignorance is a common state. If man chooses to uphold the principles of the Spirit, he will set up law and order in the house where he lives. When he does this, the body will be disciplined and obey the laws. Both the man and his body will be spiritual and produce the fruit of spirit, which is love. On the other hand, if man chooses to be evil, and follow the promptings of the natural man, he will lose his power and authority over the natural man, and both will yield the fruit of evil, that is disaster and woe. Moral agency. Moral agency is a gift from God to all human beings to act freely on our own. This is a gift from God, and He does not interfere with it. Earlier we read that law, like desire, seeking, sacrifice and work, controls good deed. Evil deed demands no effort. Man has power to accept or reject such gift. Even if man has chosen evil and found that he does not want evil anymore, he has the right and power to reject evil and change his life. According to the law of agency, the choice is free and not binding, but the consequences are irrevocable. Until man departs from this earth, he has power and right to change his choice at his own free will. Any time man chooses the good, he is bound to follow and abide by the law to have peace, happiness and joy. Any time man chooses evil, he has no law to follow, he is free and the road is wide, but he will end up in misery. This is an unavoidable consequence of the choice. Application. So far, we have examined a few things like choice, identity, attributes and few other laws. It is time for us to apply this knowledge to help us to tame the man and. Definition 2. A war conqueror is one who wins the war in the battlefield with arms, and forces the enemy to retreat. He does not force peace on them. The enemy is still there waiting for time to regroup, maybe 10 years or more. Definition 3. A good conqueror is one who defeats the enemy in the battlefield, wins their respect and restores peace in order to achieve his purpose. This unknown author is aware of the following facts. One cannot win respect from others without having self-respect himself. One cannot have self-respect without knowing himself. One cannot know himself without learning his own attributes. One cannot learn his attributes without identifying himself. One cannot identify himself without having the desire to do so. One cannot have the desire to do this without making a good choice. If man has gone through this process, then he has equipped himself with the necessary tools for self-respect, which is equivalent to self-subjugation. Furthermore, this great unknown author has learned the following lessons. Respect cannot be forced on people. Respect can never be purchased by gold, silver, or might. Respect is earned as one earns payment for a job well done. Respect goes to him that has respect for himself. Respect is a divine virtue, which is controlled by the law of attraction. Respect is an attribute of love. Respect is mutual and reciprocal. It is this discipline, which the unknown author would like to have in order to be a good conqueror. Thus, for man to win this battle between him and his body, man must be a good conqueror indeed. According to General Sun Tzu, by learning the attributes of man and his enemy, man has conquered himself and his enemy. Nevertheless, does this knowledge give man control over himself and his enemy? The answer is no. Man must be a good conqueror if he must live together with his enemy. Man must win the respect of his enemy. How can man do this? According to the attributes of man, he has the power and key to rule and control by eternal law of justice to bring all flesh under his command. If the man will, then man will set up laws, order, and controls necessary to attain a state of self-subjugation in order to attain his highest good.